Have you ever considered how climate change threatens not just our environment, but the very fabric of our societies, particularly in the Third World? Welcome to the complex world of climate injustice. This is a tale of how the specter of climate change casts a daunting shadow, particularly over Third World nations, revealing the stark reality of an unequal burden. These nations, despite contributing the least to global emissions, are often the most vulnerable, grappling with the harsh consequences of a rapidly changing climate. From political negotiations, social ramifications, to technological deficits, climate injustice weaves an intricate web of challenges. Yet the urgency to act has never been more pronounced. As the clock ticks, the need for immediate collective action becomes paramount. As we delve deeper, we will unravel the intricate layers of this global issue. On the political front, climate change has shaken the foundations of international diplomacy. Major agreements like the Kyoto Protocol and the Paris Agreement have sought to address this crisis. However, they've often overlooked the specific concerns of third world countries who bear a disproportionate burden of climate change's effects. These nations are frequently sidelined in negotiations, and their unique challenges are not adequately addressed. The political landscape is complex, yet it is only one piece of the puzzle. On a social level, climate change has triggered an unprecedented wave of displacement and migration. As we delve into the impact of climate change, it's impossible to overlook the forced migration happening due to rising sea levels. It's a reality that's hitting home hard for the Pacific Island nations. These islands, known for their idyllic beauty, are now the epicenters of a climate-induced exodus. As the sea levels relentlessly rise, swallowing up land and homes, the inhabitants find themselves with no choice but to seek refuge elsewhere. They are climate refugees, displaced by a threat that's invisible yet devastatingly tangible. The story of the Pacific Island nations is a stark reminder of how climate change is disrupting lives and tearing apart communities. It's a narrative of loss, but also resilience and adaptation. The ripple effects of climate change on social structures are profound and far-reaching. Economically, climate change threatens the livelihoods of millions, exacerbating existing disparities. Nowhere is this more evident than in sub-Saharan Africa, where the farmers who feed nations are at the mercy of unpredictable weather patterns. The rain, once an ally, has turned capricious, alternating between unrelenting downpours and prolonged absences. Droughts and crop failures have become unwelcome guests, arriving unannounced and overstaying their welcome. These unpredictable weather patterns have a direct impact on food security, leading to increased poverty and hunger. The economic toll is immense. It's a vicious cycle. As the climate changes, so does the landscape of opportunity and prosperity. The poorest, who have the least to do with causing climate change, bear the brunt of its consequences. The economic fallout of climate change is a stark reminder of the urgency of our task. We must confront this challenge head-on, not only for the sake of those most affected, but for the future of our global community. Confronting climate injustice demands a comprehensive, collective response. As we navigate the treacherous waters of this global crisis, it's clear that no single strategy will suffice. Instead, we must champion a multifaceted approach, one that addresses the myriad challenges faced by the Third World. Firstly, it's crucial to advocate for sustainable and inclusive policies. Policies that not only mitigate the impacts of climate change, but also address the systemic imbalances that disproportionately affect the Third World. We need to ensure that these policies are underpinned by the principles of fairness, equity, and justice, so that the Third World isn't left behind in our global fight against climate change. Secondly, empowering vulnerable communities is key. By enhancing their capacity to adapt and respond to climate change, we can help them build resilience against its devastating impacts. This means equipping them with the necessary resources, knowledge, and skills to withstand and recover from climate-induced shocks. Investing in climate-resilient technologies forms the third pillar of our collective strategy. From renewable energy sources to drought-resistant crops, these technologies can provide a lifeline to communities grappling with the harsh realities of climate change. By making these technologies accessible and affordable to the Third World, we can help them leapfrog into a more sustainable future. Strengthening international cooperation is another critical component. Climate change knows no borders, and neither should our response to it. By fostering a spirit of global solidarity, we can pool our resources, share our knowledge, and coordinate our actions to combat this common enemy. Lastly, raising global awareness through media campaigns is essential. The media plays a pivotal role in shaping public opinion and driving political action. By spotlighting the issue of climate injustice, we can mobilize the collective conscience of humanity and spur the world into action. Our collective action, or the lack thereof, will shape the future of the Third World. As we stand at this critical juncture, the choices we make today will determine the fate of billions tomorrow. It's time we rise to the challenge and forge a path towards climate justice. Because when it comes to climate change, we're all in this together. Climate injustice is not a distant threat, but an imminent reality for the Third World. We've traversed the treacherous terrain of global politics and climate agreements, and we've seen how they often fall short in addressing the concerns of the Third World. We've witnessed the heart-wrenching displacement and forced migrations, like those of the Pacific Island nations, grappling with the rising sea levels. We've examined the stark economic disparities, as evidenced by the agricultural challenges faced by sub-Saharan African nations due to droughts and crop failures. But we've also discussed solutions. We've talked about the power of collective strategies for climate justice, from advocating for sustainable and inclusive policies to empowering vulnerable communities and investing in climate-resilient technologies. We've underscored the importance of strengthening international cooperation and harnessing the power of media campaigns to raise global awareness. The stark reality is that the Third World is at the front line of the climate crisis, bearing an unequal burden and facing an uncertain future. But it is in understanding this intricate web of challenges that we can pave the way for a comprehensive strategy. The imperative is clear. Immediate and concerted global action is not only a moral obligation, but the key to securing a more equitable and sustainable future. Subscribe, like, share. Practical and Competitive is a project by Ali Inan.